Jason Gilbo here at Fantasy Baseball Cafe again, and we are looking at pitchers for Week 8. So Memorial Day week, here we go. You got your studs going this week for 2 starts. You got David Price, Madison Bumgarner, Danny Salazar, Dallas Keuchel, and then a couple guys that I'm listing as almost studs: Jake Odorizzi, Tyson Ross, and Tim Lincecum, which you guys can all fire away as usual. Guy I'm looking at, I talked about a little bit last week, Clay Buchholz. He has pitched a lot better on the road this season, which both starts come this week. He's allowing just a 274 WOBA compared to a 363 WOBA at home. He still has that great strikeout rate. A little unlucky in his last start against Texas. That rough first 2 innings really didn't help him out, and run support was a problem there. So he takes on the Twins and the Rangers again, both on the road, like I said, and I think is a great start for 2 of those. So definitely quality starts in order. Still under 50% owned in ESPN and under 37% owned in Yahoo. So I think great pickup there. There's a couple lefties that I'm looking at for this week. J.A. Happ takes on the Rays, who have a 24% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching. But they are up top in the top 5 in team WOBA at 336, so it's a little tough there, but I'm willing to roll the dice. Tropicana is a great place to hit, or a great place to pitch, and Ray's offense does not scare me a bit. Hap has he has an average 7.2 K through 9 and a 3.59 FIP, which is probably what you're going to find mostly on the waiver wire at this point anyway, probably in the upper end actually. So he takes on Cleveland in the second start at home. Safeco, basically AL's version of Petco Park. And the Indians are struggling against lefties. Not as bad as last year, but at home I like Hap against the Indians. Those right-handed bats that come off the bench in the lineup are not guys to fare away from. With all the injuries for the Dodgers this season, Brett Anderson has stepped up and really filled up in the back end there, and he has two teams this week that are ranking the lower end or close to average against lefties. First is the Braves, which is one start that I'm really targeting this week, is Brett Anderson versus the Braves. They have a 23% strikeout rate and just a 74 weighted runs created plus. Not great numbers at all. And he also takes on the Cardinals, which is on the road, a great place to pitch as well, and they strike out at a 22% rate. Their offense is, pretty good, but they're without Matt Holliday and a couple other guys. Brett Anderson should be able to throw a quality start there. 3.30 FIP, 66.7% ground ball rate. Those are great numbers there. One long shot pitcher that has a 2 starts this week, but I'm only looking for him to make 1 start, is Matt Shoemaker. You're probably holding on to him, hoping he finds 2014 form. He's let up 13 bombs this season already, so his fly ball rate is through the roof. But I am looking for him to pitch against the Padres at home, who have a 22% strikeout rate and just a 290 team WOBA against right-handed pitching. And really before Sunday's blow up of 20 plus hits or whatever they had, they were struggling for some runs. So not an overly dangerous lineup at this point, but I am willing to roll out Matt Shoemaker against them. But his second start against the Tigers, I am taking a hard pass there. This guy, pitcher preview for this week, I am taking a look at Tanner Roark out of Washington. With Doug Fister on the DL with a flexor strain, the young right-hander is going to find his way into a rotation where really he would be on a rotation anywhere other than Washington. But Doug Fister hasn't even started playing catch yet, and the longer he sits, the longer it's going to take for him to build back up strength. So I am looking at Tanner Roark to make a long month at least in the rotation, possibly longer. Probably good for June. The only problem is this week he's going to make 2 starts. Most likely he takes on the Cubs and the Reds both on the road. But he will likely only be on 75 pitch count because he's not fully stretched out. He is a long relief guy, and he is, a starter technically, and he is used to throwing long innings, but he's just not fully stretched out. And he will take this week to most likely do that. Still worth the start. Two quality offenses, but both on the road. I'm really to take the dice there and roll out Rourke. But definitely a guy to grab. Taking a look at the bullpen for this week, a couple guys. Natalie Feliz is basically on his way out, if not already. Sean Tolson's the guy who's picked up a couple saves over the last week or so. A great guy to pick up. He's sealed the deal. And Fernando Rodney is hanging on by a thread out in Seattle. So he will likely be on his way out if he blows another save here, which he has been rocky. Danny Farquhar is the guy to pick up. Most likely he will step in and take over the closer role, which he has been solid this season. The Rays closer situation has been up to Brad Boxberger, with Jake McGee out for the season so far, but he has stepped in, or he's off the DL now, and looks like Kevin Cash wants Jake McGee to step in and be the closer. But Brad Boxberger's pitched pretty good, but Cash has said McGee is the guy, so he is likely going to be stepping in and getting some save opportunities, maybe cutting in, maybe working a two-man. It's going to be something that we need to look at from here on out. Hang on to Boxberger, hang on to McGee if you have him, so we got to let this situation play out over the next week or two. Some injury report news. Sean Doolittle is going to be back for the A's, but not saving games just yet. He'll be brought back in slowly. So he should be by the end of the week, early next week, if you're looking during the homestand here. Another pitcher today, Sunday here, Sonny Gray, hit by a grounder in his ankle. He finished out the inning, but then left. So it must have been too bad for him to finish out. But the x-rays were negative. Should avoid the DL. Just a bruise, so he should be good to go. A couple of guys recovering from Tommy John, Patrick Corbin and Jose Fernandez. Corbin's actually on his way back pretty soon. He's looking at mid-June return. He threw 5 innings in a rehab start, which was his third one. His 2013 number is 14 wins, 3.41 ERA. That guy's a stud. He's one of the upcoming young pitchers, and he's got that Tommy John out of the way. Maybe a guy to go grab, throw on the DL if you have a spot, and give it a little bit and see if he can pitch to his 2013 self. As for Jose Fernandez, still throwing live batting practice. He upped it to 30 pitches, which is back from his 15 to 20. He's working through all of his pitches, which is good. He will likely be back in July, probably post All-Star break is when you're going to maybe start using him in fantasy. But still, you have to throw any extended spring training games. Rehab starts haven't even been talked about yet. So second week of June is the Marlins' target to have him up and going and extended spring training starts. And their rotation's pretty beat up, these next two guys. Latos, knee inflammation, out 2 weeks or so. And Henderson Alvarez is just a mess right now. They revealed that he has been pitching with a partially torn UCL in his right elbow, which is never a good thing, and he's still dealing with shoulder inflammation. So it's his status for the rest of the season is pretty unclear right now. A couple guys we looked at last week. Verlander's kind of still on the same thing. We're waiting for him to head out on that rehab start to really see where he's at. Still mid-June is where I'm hoping he comes back, possibly late June. And Tanaka threw 41 pitches over 3 scoreless on Thursday in his first rehab outing, which is good news there. He will make another one where he's looking to throw at least 65 pitches, so that's the news on him there. And that is going to wrap everything up here at Pitcher Preview for Week 8 here at Fantasy Baseball Cafe.